So I think the big thing for us is just kind of learning from last year, the ups and downs. Even though we were successful, we just have to keep in mind that the past 2 years' success has nothing to do with this season. It's not going to win us any games or anything like that this upcoming year. But it's something we can learn from. It's something we can look back on. But we really got to focus on moving forward. Focus on the team that we got now, and just keep moving forward. And do what we can to take the program to the next step. It's finding the next step for the program, and getting past and having more success. Than we've had these last few years. We got a lot of good players coming back on both sides of the ball. Defensively, we got Aiden Miller. Playing linebacker for us, been a great player in this conference these last few years. Up front, got three guys that contributed a lot last year. Between Nesta Owens, Dyson Yulee, Nate Caldwell. They're going to do a great job this season for us, anchoring our defensive front. Then offensively, got some really good players coming back. Starting quarterback coming back is huge for us with Ian Hamrick. Did a great job last year stepping up in a tough situation. Didn't go into the season as a starter, and he was called upon early to step up. He stepped up in every which way, got better each week. Got Will Belongi has been a multiple-time All-Conference offensive lineman for us. Nick Tenerjo was an All-Region player for us last year, so excited about those guys up front. To keep things going in the run game, and then we got both our receivers back for year 4. Those are the guys I've probably spent the most time with these last couple of years. So excited for what's in store for those guys and any future success that they have. Definitely excited about the schedule for the upcoming season. Got a good week 0 matchup to open the season on a Thursday night, so we're excited about that, and excited to open the season at home. Then we got two, tough non-conference opponents this year on the road. Two ranked top 25 teams on the road this year in our non-conference schedule. So our players are definitely excited about the challenge. Scheduling games for this past year and for next year has been a challenge. Finding schools that have availability, one, and two, willing to play. So we found some really good matchups to go and compete a little bit, figure out who we are as a team early on in the season, and then in the conference, we're excited about every game in the conference. We got a tough conference. You got a lot of good teams with a lot of good players, and every week's a battle. And so our focus, we have a week-to-week focus. We've done a good job of that as a program. These last couple of years. So anytime you're following a very successful season, it presents its own challenges. Last year having an undefeated regular season and then having an unfortunate quick exit in the playoff was tough to deal with. But I think we have a lot to learn from as a program, and our kids are pretty hungry, and I think having that experience, taught them that you can't take anything for granted. So having that mentality, I think, will definitely help us. Definitely didn't want to lose that game last year. We put ourselves in position to win, but moving forward, we know what we got to do, to be successful and build off the success. Going into this year, the biggest question mark that we're gonna really have as a team is just figuring out who we are. Got a lot of production to replace on both sides of the football. And we have the talent. I never really worry about the talent. Can we put it together? And figuring out who we are as a team will be our biggest question mark. If we can do that, and if we can figure that out early in the season, I believe we can do the things that we've set out to do this season. But we've got to be willing to go through some tough times and overcome those tough times early on in the season. If we do that, I believe we have the ability to do what we need to do as a program.